Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another GwentCast. This is Hamwolf bringing you another Northern Realms game. This one's going to be a little bit different than my last few casts. This one is going to be a Northern Realms Machines deck. So, 3 goals in the opener for the Northern Realms deck. Thinking about kicking a First Light. So First Light will go back in favor of a Field Medic. Field Medic also being kicked back and finding a Kadwendi Siege Sergeant for the opening draw. Declining the last mulligan, the Northern Realms player will open out with a School of the Wolf trio. So, School of the Wolf, Vesmir, Lambert, and Eskel coming out for a total of 17 points, thinning the deck by 2. And Necker coming down, so really the most important card, the key card for the Consume deck, gets a lot of power and a lot of value out of that Necker, so we'll see if the Machines deck can respond appropriately. A 14-point lead for Northern Realms. Northern Realms will go ahead and toss down a Reinforcement here. Oh, changes his mind and opts for Reinforced Ballista instead, so deploying to damage an enemy by 2. I'm not sure I quite like that play. I would have liked to try to get something else on the field to deal with that Necker. You can actually beat the Consume deck by destroying a bunch of their Neckers, and yeah, they Death Wish for another Necker, but if you can get them all out of the deck, the Consume deck has a lot of problems making enough value, so I would have actually liked to see the Necker be shot down there. So the leader coming in for the Consume player going to eat a bunch of spiders, bringing the Consume player up to 31 points after that Necker Deathwish trigger goes off. A 2-point lead for the Monsters player. Players are even in cards. Going to play a Vernon Roach here. The first gold we'll see played this game. So Vernon Roach going to shoot down 2 3-powered units to bring out 2 Blue Stripes Commandos. We'll see how the Monsters player goes. And a Consume of a Baby Spider from Vran Warrior. So we'll see how the Northern Realms player wants to respond to that. See if they want to react to this Vran, or if they can possibly just put a bunch more power on the board. Only an 8-power lead. A Kadwendi Siege Master coming down, triggering this Reinforced Ballista again. So again, I think I'd like to shoot down this Necker just a little bit. It's a very strong Consume target, so taking some power off of that does take out some future potential power for the Consume deck. Not sure I like spreading that out. I don't see a reason to. Would have targeted it all at the Necker, personally. So a second Arrakis Behemoth coming in for the Consume player. But still a 13-point lead for Machines. We'll see how the Machines player wants to react here, and if they can maintain their lead going into this next turn. So a second Reinforced Ballista coming down, dealing a ton of damage. Gonna finish off that Arrakis Behemoth that just came down. I think instead I would have liked to shoot Vran down all the way. If you shoot Vran down all the way, that might be all the units that they have to trigger their Consume abilities. So if you can dismantle the Consume deck in a few ways. You can take out their Death Wish units. You can take out their Consume engine, which in this case is Vran, who will just continue to consume things while it's on the board. Or you can take out the Arrakis Behemoths, which are spawning spiders for every Consume that happens. A Battering Ram coming down off of a few Field Medic triggers. We'll get an extra crewman off of the Northern Realms leader. So Battering Ram dealing a ton of damage, and this is a very large lead for the Northern Realms player. I would not hate to see a pass here. We'll see what the Northern Realms player opts to do. The giant toad coming down, consuming a caretaker, which is very interesting. That's a pretty big card, I think. Not as big in the Machines matchup as it is in some other matchups, but caretaker still represents about 15 points if you want to look at the battering ram into caretaker into battering ram. That's a possibility of a large tempo swing. So I'm curious as to why that caretaker was given up. That really speaks to the strength of the consumed player's hand. And the consumed player going really deep on this for some reason. I guess they needed some time to develop their Necker Warrior, but what this does is that forces them to play another card to catch up, and this game feels over for the Monsters player if they do this. So Hailstorm means that the Monsters player will only be down 2 cards going into the next round. We'll see if it was worth it to develop that Necker Warrior. Necker Warrior went ahead and put extra Neckers into the deck, but as you can see, they're only 3 power Neckers. That Necker Warrior needed to be developed much earlier so that the Neckers inside of the deck could get some of the pumps off of both the leader or the Vran. Northern Realms player thinking about potentially kicking a Reaver Scout. I think that is the best mulligan. Battering Ram, the draw. And 2 more Neckers being put in the deck via that Necker Warrior, but that just doesn't feel like it's good enough. I don't mind playing a low tempo play here. It's okay if you are the Northern Realms player because you're ahead so many cards. So I think it's okay to commit a lower tempo play to see if the monster player wants to commit a little bit more to the board. And if not, you can just take it with 1 extra card and still be ahead cards going into that final round with powerful cards like DJ Extra and Shawnee. So Battering Ram will come down to tie up the game. I think that this is an opportune pass for the Monsters player, but instead wants to commit a Regis to the board. And Regis, while good against some Northern Realms decks, not as good against the Machine deck. So some of the other versions of the Northern Realms deck are relying very heavily on cards like Dunbanner Heavy Cavalry, or in case of the trio, a Temerian Infantryman. But Regis is just not quite enough here. It's not going to be a high enough tempo play. So with that being done, another Gwent Siege Master coming in, triggering that Battering Ram once again. And Ekimar going to come down and likely consume that Necker, bring out a 5 power Necker, and giving a little bit of carryover for the next turn. Still does not feel like it's going to be enough because I believe that the Northern Realms player here does have this in minimum 2 cards. We'll see if Dijkstra can provide extra tempo enough to pull ahead. That would be great. Field Medic coming down, kicking back a Siege Master, pulling a Siege Master back from the deck, triggering Battering Ram. Battering Ram will go ahead and shoot down Ekimara. Ekimara seems like a fantastic target for that Battering Ram. And a second Battering Ram going to come down with that fresh crew trigger from the Siege Master. And will shoot down that Dijkstra. Potentially, no. Going to just deal 4 damage to Ekimara to reduce the amount of carryover from the consumed deck. So another Necker coming down via that Griffin. Griffin now triggers the Death Wish ability of the unit. And Commander's Horn enough to take the round. So 1-1 going into the final round, a 2-card advantage for the Northern Realms player. We will see if the Monsters player has enough carryover to take this game, but John Natalis the draw. Neke going to come down and shuffle some tactic cards back into the deck, and the Monster Spire concedes. Did not have enough tempo after those first few rounds. So thank you everybody for watching. I am still looking for more games. If you have a game that you'd like to submit, go ahead and shoot it my way. Thank you everybody for watching. This is Hey, I'm a Wolf, signing off.